Okay. So we have, I believe, an hour and a half scheduled to talk about FastBridge. It is not going to take us an hour and a half. You do not have to listen to me for that long. I would say that our time together is going to take no more than half an hour, and then you're going to get the rest of the time to go in and explore FastBridge. There are some really helpful training modules that I'm going to point out to you that I would encourage you to spend some time on today. And I am going to preface this by saying that from my understanding, FastBridge is very easy to administer. Okay, there's no setting up tests like you have to do with math. So our session goals: by the end of our session, all of you will be able to log into FastBridge and administer the Fast Track Reading, Fast Track Math, Sabers, and My Sabers screeners. So just a very brief overview of FastBridge. FastBridge has two purposes. We can use it as a universal screening tool, and we can also use it for progress monitoring, and we can use it for academics as well as social emotional learning for students. As far as the universal screening, and this is the one that we would give 3 times a year like we have with MAPS, it gives us information that looks at students' current skills in comparison to their grade level. And it identifies students who are in need of additional instruction or interventions. And then our progress monitoring just provides us continuous feedback for those students that we're providing interventions for. So the purpose for FastBridge within GRCSU. This year, we are using both FastBridge and MAP as screeners. The reason that we are using both is we're trying to make a decision about which one best serves the needs of our students and best informs our instruction. So FastBridge provides different information than MAP. It also takes the place, as Lisa had mentioned earlier, of some of those other assessments that we're using, like F&P or Ames Web. FastBridge is a curriculum-based measure, and it targets specific skills. And like MAP, it is also a computer adaptive test. So it adapts based on how students do. The progress monitoring end of FastBridge is a tool that we can use across GRCSU for literacy, math, and social emotional learning. It provides nice graphs to easily determine if an intervention that we're implementing with a student is effective or not. It provides continuous feedback to ensure that students are making progress, and it supports our EST in making informed decisions as part of our MTSS system. So FastBridge has 4 different screeners, and here we've outlined for you which grades are responsible for which screeners. So 4 through 6, you will be responsible for Fast Track Reading, Fast Track Math, Sabers, and My Sabers. And what we're going to do is we're going to just get a brief overview of each of these so you understand what the assessment is, what it contains, and how it might be useful. So starting with Fast Track Reading within GRCSU, we'll be using this K-6. However, it is designed if in the future we were to want to use it like MAP, we have used through, I believe, 11th grade. Fast Track Reading has that capability. So in grades 4 through 6, we will be using 2 assessments. We will be using auto reading and A reading. Both of these are administered on the computer for students. So A reading, according to FastBridge, A reading is a simple and efficient procedure for screening students' broad reading abilities. It is a computer adaptive test. Students will receive 30 to 60 items, and students can track their progress in the lower right-hand corner of their screen. It will tell them how many questions they've answered out of how many total. It takes students about 15 to 45 minutes to complete, and I believe they say the average is 30 minutes. And that students may pause this test. However, if students pause the test, they need to complete it within 2 weeks, because after 2 weeks, students would have to start from scratch. I have, and I will share this presentation with you. I have linked down here a PDF quick sheet. I have linked this for all of the assessments. What this does is it gives you a brief overview of materials, preparation, but the most important thing that it gives you is it gives you the script that they ask you to read anytime you administer the assessment. So this is a handy little sheet to have. The second reading assessment you'll be giving at 4th through 6th grade is auto reading. It's an assessment of a student's automaticity with select reading skills, including letter names and sounds, decoding words, identifying the correct spelling of words, word synonyms, and detecting differences in word meanings. Auto reading is broken down into 9 subtests, and students will complete 2, 3, or 4 subtests depending on your grade level. So at 4th grade, the tests that students will, or the skills that students will be looking at, they'll be taking the subtests of encoding, word identification, and vocabulary. So they have 3 subtests. And 5th and 6th grade have word identification, decoding, matching synonyms, and morphology. So they have 4 subtests. There are 15 to 52 items per subtest depending on the subtest. And I don't have the breakdown of how many questions are on encoding or word identification. I don't have that breakdown. Because it is checking students' automaticity, this is a timed assessment. Students have 6 seconds per question, and it moves them on if they haven't answered. This is kind of in an odd place. I should have put it after the math one as well, but essentially, when students go in to administer the test, they're going to be logging into their FastBridge account, and I'm going to go over how students log into their FastBridge account. Their front screen is potentially going to look like this, where they have 2 buttons. This one says screening, and this one says progress monitoring. You would have students select screening, and then they're either going to select fast track reading or fast track math, depending on what you're assessing, and it is automatically going to put up the assessment that they need. So the program is already set up to administer the correct assessments for them. You don't have to tell the program what to administer. Any questions on the reading portion? It is a very brief overview of what these are. Marcia?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, that auto reading is a time test, and I'm wondering how that applies to the students that have IEPs, and you know, how do the accommodations for the IEP students, how are they going to get those accommodations? So if they have extra time on their tests and so forth. I don't know if you have an answer, but
yeah, I don't have an answer, but what I will do is I'm writing it down so that I can look into that, because this is brand new to me as well. So let me just jot that down, and I will look into that, Marcia, and get back to you, because that's a good question. And it may be that there's not an accommodation because it's assessing them against grade level skills. But I will find out for sure. All right, fast track math. Again, we are using that as an SU from K to 6, though it does have the capability of going beyond 6th grade. In 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, you will be using the assessments CBM Math Automaticity and AMath. Fast track math says that it takes approximately 35 minutes to complete all of the assessments. So both of those assessments should take around 35 minutes total. That the key areas of math that they're assessing include number, operations, and general math, and that students will be completing CBM Math Automaticity first. And so when they click that math button, it will automatically bring that assessment up for them first. So CBM Math Automaticity is a timed computer-based assessment of math fact mastery. It measures a student's automaticity with basic math facts with both single skills and mixed skills match to the math skills typically taught in grades 1 through 3. It takes up to 4 minutes to complete this assessment alone. Again, it's going to be another timed assessment that's going to move them on after a set number of seconds. And the way that they score this is they are basing it on the number correct in 10 minutes. So they're taking what they answered in 4 minutes, and then they're figuring out how many the student would have gotten in 10 minutes. Again, I've linked the PDF quick sheet down here for you. I'd recommend having that printed out and just somewhere that's easy to grab. And then there's AMath. And AMath is a simple and efficient procedure for screening students' broad math abilities. It is a computer adaptive test, so more like MAP. There are 30 items that students will have, and again, they can track their progress, and it takes approximately 30 minutes to complete, but the times can range from 15 to 45 minutes depending on the student. What questions are there about that? Yes, Marcia.
Me again, sorry.
Okay.
Do we need to supply them with paper for like MAP and SBAC? We usually give paper and then collect it and so forth. Is it on the quick sheet?
So it is, but it's still a really good question.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
So yes, so for AMath only, they can be given scrap paper and pencils to be used. It doesn't, they're not specific about like collecting it afterwards or destroying it. I imagine that's probably pretty good practice just for us to be in for, you know, when we do have SBAC. But they are not allowed the paper and pencil during the math automaticity. So this quick sheet does give you, if you look at the check computer and tablet readiness, like a lot of it is similar from assessment to assessment, you know, making sure that your screen resolution is correct, things like that. But occasionally they throw something in there about like providing scrap paper.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What other questions do you have? Nancy.
Will we be doing a baseline to start the year off for these?
So we'll be administering this very similarly to how we administer MAP. We'll be doing it 3 times a year, including once at the beginning of the year. There is an assessment calendar. I think that's gone out. If not, I can share the assessment calendar with you, but it outlines when we're taking each of these assessments so that we're not taking MAP at the same time that we're taking this.
Okay, thanks.
Mike?
Well, I got the assessment calendar. Al sent it out, but MAPS is 9:06 to 9:30, but then you have FastBridge from 9:19 to 10:07, so they do overlap. But you have to find a spot that they're not being together, right? I mean,
yeah. I mean, my recommendation would be to do MAP on the earlier side, just to get it done with. Students, yeah. Most students are familiar with it. Also, typically, Al builds in 3 weeks for MAP, with one of them being a makeup week. So I would have to look to see if maybe that makeup week is where the overlap happens. Nancy.
Yeah, and are we still doing the baseline number corner as well?
I believe that is a building-based decision at this point.
Okay.
So you would need to check with Jay. All right, I'm going to move on to Sabers and My Sabers. Now, last year we used Review 360 as a way to screen students for social emotional. We have done away with that, and we are going to use FastBridge so that we're using one system. So there's a little blurb here about what Sabres is. It is 19 items per student, and they break it down that it looks at social behavior, academic behavior, and emotional behavior for students. We complete this screening 3 times a year. Only one educator can complete Sabres for a student during the screening period. So especially I'm thinking like 6th grade. I know at Rutland Town you switch classes. The building administrators have identified the one person that's going to be assessing the student because multiple people cannot assess the student. It takes about 1 to 3 minutes to complete per student, and the requirement is that you must have had the student or have known the student for at least a month before you can complete the screener. So I think if you look at that assessment calendar, the Sabres screener is set for after a month into school to allow for that. And then just for consistency, GRCSU plans to have the same educator completing the screener for a given student each time, which we kind of already addressed. I believe that for students who have multiple teachers, it will be their TA, homeroom, whatever term you use. That will be the person that will be completing this screener on a student. The other end of this, and actually, before we go to the other end, so how do you administer Sabres? So you will log on to FastBridge as a classroom teacher, and I'm going to show you how to do that after we go through each of the screeners. You will select Sabres from the list of assessments on the left-hand side of the page. You will find the student name, and there will be an image of a timer. You'll select that, and then they give you a scale of never, sometimes, often, and always for each question that they ask or for each statement that they make. Again, this comes with a PDF quick sheet for you to reference. Yes, Amy.
Hey, real quick. So I'm looking at this correct. So we have to do this per kid, so 3 times a year. So when they're taking it, we're doing that 3 times, correct?
Yes, so I think the window is slightly different. You'll have to look at what the assessment window is, but you will complete this for each of your students 3 times a year. So the other end to Sabres is My Sabres, and this is the student end of things. This is the rating scale that students will fill out. They have 20 items that they will be scoring themselves on. And again, it's looking at the same 3 areas: social behavior, academic behavior, and emotional behavior. They also complete this 3 times throughout the year. This is only given in grades 2 through 12. So our K and 1 students will not take the My Sabres. And it takes approximately 5 to 10 minutes for students to complete. So we are going to go over how to get onto Sabres. We're going to go over how to get onto FastBridge. This slide right here just shows students. It's the same thing as what I showed you before. Last time I showed you, it had reading and math, and you didn't see Sabres. They just have a little button that says more tests, and they'd click that, and that's where Sabres pops up. And it looks like the cloud and the sun for them. And they would click that, and they would go through. They would have statements, and they would just select the one that suits them. And I am going to show you where there are videos that you can watch of somebody actually going into the system so you can see what it looks like from both the teacher end of things and the student end of things. This is just an example of different reports that might be printed out. And again, I'm going to show you because we don't have any student information. It's really hard to give this to go in and show you what it might look like, but there is a spot in here where you can dig a little bit deeper and that they do a few videos for you. Todd, that's a really good question. I think maybe that might be a discussion between the classroom teacher and the special educator, and it may depend on the student. I would say that in most cases, the classroom teacher should probably be filling it out, unless I know occasionally we have cases where we have students who have an alternative placement. So that might be a conversation to have between teacher, special educator, and maybe even the building administrator. I've just given you a few things to remember. A lot of times we get into a program. I remember it happened a lot with maps and like things wouldn't be working, or we'd get messages. These are just some reminders, right? Cookies must be enabled. You need to have a specific screen resolution. Make sure browsers aren't in Zoom mode. So just a few things to remember before assessing. So here's where we're going to get into how to log in. And I'm going to briefly go over the student end of things. And then I'm going to show you how you guys are going to log in and you're actually going to log in. So everyone, students and teachers, have in there, and you don't have it, I am going to change the way I'm presenting my screen to you. So everyone has their bookmark bar. Everyone has this GRCSU bookmarks. And if you click in it, you'll see Infinite Campus, Dino, you have the coach's website, and then the very bottom one for us, it says Clever. Students now have this as well. So Clever, and I believe Al sent out an email within the last hour that talked a little bit about Clever, but Clever is a new way for us as teachers and for students to log into some of the different platforms that we use. So in this case, it'll be FastBridge, Dreambox, Lexia, and I believe there may be a few others. And so to log in for both you and for students, all you're going to do is you're going to click Clever Login. And it brings you to a login page where you and students are going to select Login with Google. You may ask you your Google account. I have multiple on this computer, which is why it asks me. Now for students, it is going to take them right into Clever. For you, your screen may look similar to mine, where you have the option to log in as a teacher or log in as a staff, and it may also just depend on your role. If this screen comes up for you, you need to log in as a teacher. If you log in as a staff, it's not going to give you what you need. Now for students, I'm going to quickly switch back to, oh, it took me away from my presentation. For students, their home screen is not going to have these options up at the top. It's just going to pop them to their teacher's page, and that's it. And they will see FastBridge over here. For you, you may not see FastBridge. If you come up here to your district page, it's going to show you all the applications that you have available to you right now. And what I did was I clicked the little heart in the upper left-hand corner to show it was one of my favorites, and now it shows on my teacher page. And then all I have to do is click, and it's going to automatically log me into FastBridge. And so here is my FastBridge account and dashboard. Now, you are not going to use this to necessarily administer assessments to students because FastBridge does all of that on the back end, but you're going to use this to take the sabers yourself for students, as well as to look at recording. So what questions are there before we go any further? All right. Does everyone want to take a minute to log in to see if they can access FastBridge? Yes, Sarah. All right. I am dropping a link to the presentation right in the chat for you, and I will make sure that I post it to our website as well. Mike.
Yeah, I pulled up the FastBridge. I did find a lot of stuff. So I just clicked on my student roster. I have 2 new students this year. They're not on there. Who do I talk to about getting their names in there?
So when you look at Infinite Campus or when you look at your jump rope roster, do you see those students there?
No, they're not there either.
Okay. So if I'm fairly certain that FastBridge talks with Infinite Campus. So until those students are in Infinite Campus, they're not going to show up in FastBridge. So
Right.
just double check with Lori.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Barb?
Just a clarifying question. So our students will all have their own Clever accounts and they'll have those same little icons and they'll just click on there and it will take them right in too.
Yes.
Yay.
Yeah, I know. Nice, isn't it?
Yeah, that's so much nicer. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Is there anybody that wasn't able to get in? All right, I'm going to bring my screen back up and I'm just going to point out within the system some of the things that we were talking about, specifically how do you find savers? And then I'm going to show you where to find some really helpful resources, and they've got some really nice training modules that I would highly recommend. So to find the Saber screener, if you come up here to screening, it lists all of the assessments that we have available to us. And what you would do is you would come down to Sabers and click it, and it's going to drop down any classes that you have. I don't really have any real classes. I have a fake class, but I'm going to click on that. And it's going to pull up all the students that you have. So I have 1 student, test student 2. And there will be icon of a little clock here that you would click, and that is how you would fill out the savers on that specific student. The reporting button over here, I encourage you to go through and explore it. They have lots of different reports. I have not explored most of these yet, but I would encourage you to go through and see what they have to offer. And then the place that you are probably going to spend the remainder of your time today is in this tab right here, which is training and resources. And within this, they have different modules for the different assessments that you will be administering. So if you come down to reading, they have A reading and auto reading. And they even have fast track reading, which is just a general overview of it altogether, which is also helpful. Down in math, they have fast track math, they have A math, and they have CBM math. And if you can't remember what it is that you're giving, you can always go back to the presentation to see what we've laid out. Down in behavior, we have the Sabers and the My Sabers. Any interventionists, down here, they have different interventions. We will be using this for progress monitoring with interventions. I have not received training on that yet, so I'm not going to give you training on that today. And then if you keep scrolling down under getting started, they have a training module on reports, progress monitoring, screening, so you can look at all of this. These are, the modules are pretty easy to get through. I would say it takes maybe 15 to 20 minutes a module. They have videos in there so you can see what it actually looks like. And then they do have a short 10-question quiz at the end for you to become certified in that assessment. We are not requiring that, but I will say it's really helpful for you. And I did highlight on this page of the slide just which training modules I thought might be helpful for all of you. And then I just put a quick how-to change your screen resolution if you can't remember. So what questions are there? Barb?
Yeah, so I was just looking at the assessment calendar that Al gave us, and it doesn't specifically say which FastBridge assessments we're giving at which level. Will there be like some kind of guide that tells us exactly which ones we're given?
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't think that we have anything, but we could certainly make something up. FastBridge is set up that it's going to administer that, so the kids will go in. I'm going to go back to.
But just so like for planning purposes on our end, I'm not going to remember like how many of which ones and how long. It would be helpful, I think, like the estimated time too, just for planning purposes on our end.
Absolutely.
Maps
That is yeah, that's something we can definitely make for you.
Okay, thank you. Especially for those that are new to maps and new to our district entirely. I think that would be helpful. Thank you.
I will put that on somebody's to-do list. Danielle.
Hi. So if we're sharing students again, will we have access to other classes?
I think it's you have access to whatever's rostered in Infinite Campus. So
Just
because I'm gonna put down kind of your situation, and I'm gonna talk to Lindsay about that.
Okay. Just because I think when we've done MAP in the past, we've kept it consistent where they have math class. That's where they do the math assessment. Yeah. Yep. Okay.
When you go in, Danielle, you currently only have your class?
Let me just see here.
I guess the easiest way to check that would be under the screening option.
Yeah.
I guess if you look at Savers under the screening option.
Yeah, I'm only seeing my class listed.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I will sit down with Al and Lindsay and talk about that and see what they'd like to do. Sarah, you have the 3rd grade class in yours, but you're teaching 4th grade this year. When you go into Infinite Campus, do you have the 4th grade class at Infinite Campus?
I can't tell because it's not letting me look on Infinite Campus. According to, like, I've been trying to get on Infinite Campus all day and I haven't been able to.
Okay.
According to Lori, I do have the correct class on Infinite Campus. So, yeah, I don't really know what to do.
Okay. I will talk to Lindsay and Al and see what's going on with that. Anything else that anybody's seeing or any other questions?
Corey, it looks like in my rosters have both sections of math, and I didn't check science, but and on the Savers, it looks like it has both sections.
So because are you just teaching ELA, or excuse me, are you just teaching math and science, Nancy?
Yeah.
And then Jason is teaching ELA and social studies.
Right.
So yeah, so what it is it's probably set up that way in Infinite Campus. And so that's why you're seeing everyone.
And that's okay, right? Because it's actually kind of ideal if it's set up that way.
Yeah, I think that's okay, because then you would just administer the math FastBridge to the students and Jason would administer the ELA.
Although in jump rope, the rosters are split. It's odd.
Yeah. You know, jump rope's a little funky sometimes when.
Well, no, it's fine that way, but I mean, it sort of helps us keep it straight, but they don't appear to be split here.
Okay. Yeah, but it works for you the way it is?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
All right, so what I'm going to say is that the rest of the time, I believe you have until 2:30, so just under, excuse me, you have until like 2:20 because you do get a break. So spend the next 40 minutes digging through FastBridge, looking at those training and resources. You do not have to stay on the meet. You are welcome to log off and look at this on your own time. Go talk to colleagues about this, whatever works for you. I will stay on the meet. Just if any questions pop up or if you come across another issue. So I will be here. If for some reason you log on to the meet and I am not here, I am running on limited battery and the room I am in currently, the outlets are not working. So if you hop on the meet and I'm not here, I will be back. I just had to go search for power.
Thank you, Corey.